Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I am joined today by Jari Laine. Yes?
Yes.
Laine?
Yeah.
Awesome. Who is CEO of Varusteleka, which is the biggest, best military sporting goods store in Europe?
In world, I think.
Okay. Jari and I are here in Utah right now, shooting the Desert Brutality match. We have just finished day one, so we both have enjoyable adult beverages. Day one was pretty awesome, but that's a subject for several separate videos. I have gotten, thanks to the awesome patrons who make Forgotten Weapons possible, a whole series of questions for Jari based on what you do with the company and about Finland, and I think some really good questions here that people want to know about. So let's just preface this with a real brief history of the company. It started out as a military surplus company, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The company was founded 2003 by our founder, Valtteri Lindholm, and he was really keen outdoors guy and also played the airsoft. And he had the trouble to find the good gear, both for outdoors and all the stuff what he was doing. So he founded the company. He bought some stuff and made the online store and started to sell it.
Okay.
And so from one man's operation, we're now like 60 people and turnover close to 20 million. So nice. it has been a long way, but it started from one guy's passion for the gear.
Okay.
And it started from the military surplus, and nowadays, of course, expanded to our own brands and supplier brands. And
that's something I wanted to touch on because it'll cover a lot of our questions here are going to talk about this.
Yeah.
You have a couple of your own house brands of essentially outdoors clothing and gear. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving right from there, our first question is from Adam, who says, how do natural fibers compare with synthetics as you build clothing for active use? Are there any new technologies that may change this?
My opinion, and also quite many of our staff opinion, is that the natural fibers, especially the wool, is like magical thingy that it's hard to beat with the synthetics. And it's renewable, kind of good thing in the wool. So when it comes to the first and second layer clothing, the wool is hard to beat with the synthetics because it's moisture wicking, it provides warmth, and it's naturally kind of fire retardant that you don't melt.
It doesn't melt. Yeah.
No, yeah, it hardly burns. With the synthetic fibers, you can get a lot of benefits about the moisture wicking, kind of durability, stretch, all these kind of things. But the problem is that they usually tend to be burning or they are melting. And that's the bad thing. Either you are doing some military work or just vivid outdoors people. So I think that's why some of the natural fibers are better. However, the technology is going forward, and we see more and more interesting materials made from recycled fibers, and there's lots of cool stuff in industry going on. And I think the kind of mixed fabrics which are made from recycled fibers is going to be the next big thing, because we're running out of kind of materials on a global scale. So and especially if they are oil based. So
right.
Kind of refining those, doing the recycled materials, and also plant based. Like there's a lot of fabrics which are made from wood.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are some of the development lines. What we are, for example, checking out that how do they work.
Okay. So you're always keeping an eye on that sort of thing. Let's see. From Sean, totally changing tracks here. What aspect of Finland's culture could Americans benefit from the most Other than sauna. Because sauna's way too easy of an answer.
Yeah.
It's a good answer, but too easy.
I think, and we have discussed this earlier during your visits in Finland, that you can tolerate silence.
That's a really good answer.
You can be with your friends and be silent for a while. You don't have to come up with a new topic to discuss.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. I really sometimes enjoy if I'm doing a road trip with someone, like you can just sit for half an hour and not have to talk.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not a very American thing.
Yeah.
So, excellent answer. Nathaniel states the obvious. Mosquitoes are bad in Finland. What do you do to repel mosquitoes? Is there something that doesn't damage the plastic or wood of a gun?
Repelling mosquitoes, at least in Finland, it's an uphill battle.
Okay.
On the summer months, especially in northern part of Finland, there's so many mosquitoes that you really can't do anything. The chemicals, what you might use, they might repel them or not. If you are using some of the devices which evaporates some kind of poison, get them away, but they might also kind of destroy some of the insects which are really helpful, like the bees and all that stuff. So that's not a good idea.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
Yeah. And rubbing the chemicals on you is like
poison.
Yeah. So the mosquito nets are probably the most convenient thing, and you get the pretty good camouflage if you put the mosquito net over your boonie hat, and that helps that they don't go into your eyes, and you can still have the kind of side picture. Okay. So that is what I use a lot. And then is that you stop caring. Like the mosquitoes are there, they take their drink, and after some hundreds bites you don't scratch anymore.
That's a very Sisu
And
approach.
in Finland it's easy because we don't have the mosquitoes which deliver the diseases, so it's annoyance. But somewhere else where they might spread diseases, then you have to take it more seriously.
Okay. Now, Jet says, when will you make the Särmä short shorts? I'm talking a 3-inch inseam. Särmä is one of your house brands.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it is. We have played around with the idea, and we definitely going to try out something. We're thinking like doing the UDT type of like really cool shorts, and let's see. I think we have some ideas what it could be.
So it's actually going to happen. You're going to.
No promises. I hope we can pull it off.
Okay. I'm pretty sure they would sell.
Yeah.
Erica said, I'm sorry, skipping one. Nick, what piece of issued gear of any armed force in any time frame do you think was cool but utterly useless?
There are lots of stuff coming to my mind, like from the clothing perspective. There was an era in Finnish military when they renewed the rain gear, like the rain jacket and the trousers. And I don't know what happened, but they had those rain trousers. They were like rodeo chaps, like they weren't real trousers, and they were half open here, and then you had the long rain jacket, and it was utterly useless.
That doesn't sound cool or useful.
Yeah. So that was a disaster. But usually when stuff is useless, it's kind of not cool.
Okay.
Maybe like the Finnish rifle grenades for RK95. Kind of there was a good concept behind it, but then there were some I don't know, safety issues, reliability issues. It was never widely fielded.
Okay.
And it just died away, but the grenades are always cool.
All right, I'm going to skip forward to one that's similar, and this is from Matt, who says, what do you find to be the biggest shortcoming of issued Finnish gear, and how have you addressed it with your TST line?
To understand the situation better, like in a Finnish military setting, you have to bear in mind that we still have the universal conscription. So all the guys have to go to the service, either the armed service or civil service, and the girls can opt in. So it's a voluntary for them. So that means that every year we have something like 30,000 people going through the system. So gear is designed that it fits the most people and it's durable, that the same stuff can rotate several times.
Okay.
So that then puts some constraints that what you can do and what you kind of cannot do. So the biggest kind of problem what we see with the issued gear is that it's try to be all in or having the solution for everything, which of course units are different, kind of mission profiles are different, so you really cannot have that full spectrum. And another is that because gear is done with such a focus on durability, it's heavy, it's bulky, the materials are not necessarily the most comfortable.
Okay.
And that is something, that is what we try to solve, that we try to do the gear which increase the individual's capabilities, like it dries faster, it's lighter, it's more ergonomic, and this is what we try to add on a table, that when you are through your service and you are reservist or you are a professional, you can, more easily use your own kit, and then you can upgrade it. And to have the kit which fits, it's like made from modern materials, it's lighter, more ergonomic. So that is kind of what we do. Okay,
so not anything really fundamentally wrong, just incremental improvements in a bunch of different areas.
Yeah, and kind of issued stuff is kind of, it's good. You can fight wars with that. No problem. But like thinking that you have a certain type of mission profile, the issued vest might not suit your needs. So those are the gaps we try to fulfill.
Okay, very cool. Now, Erica wanted to know approximately what percentage of your sales are domestic in Finland versus international, and what are your top 3 countries for business?
1/3 of our turnover is coming from international market.
Okay, so 2/3 domestic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is like our online store and the physical store in Helsinki combined is 2/3. And the largest foreign market for us is US. Yeah. Good job.
Frankly, I really love this stuff. Some people will probably accuse me of shilling, but it's your Särmä and TST stuff is what I wear most of the time. Like the camo French pants, this French CCE, I actually got through you as surplus. But day-to-day life, I wear tactical jeans. I wear the merino wool. The one shortcoming of the Särmä and the TST lines is summer gear.
Yeah.
Especially civilian summer clothing. There's not a lot of it. No. It doesn't really happen in Finland.
No.
not like it does in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
But yeah, once the temperature drops below 3 digits, I'm pretty much wearing merino wool all the time. Isaac says, how do you prioritize bringing products to market that your customers really need versus products that have a better profit margin to help the company more?
I think we take kind of the product development pretty seriously, and most of the products what we launched are the products what our own staff is like really enthusiastic about.
Okay.
So Of course, we think about the profitability, and we prioritize the things that if there is some marginal product which is cool, but we see that okay, the volume will be smaller. We might not, we might not do it right away. So of course we prioritize the things, but I would say all the stuff, one way or another, is that we see the need, and we try to provide the solution for it. And good metrics for that is that how enthusiastic about our own staff is something.
Okay.
And those projects usually get prioritized and finalized.
Okay. It's been really interesting. Your founder periodically will post some video talking largely or often about consumerism and what you need versus just this desire to buy stuff for the sake of buying stuff.
Yeah.
And I find that kind of refreshing to see from a retail company.
Yeah, and that's what we talk internally, that we would like to change the consumers to users.
Yeah.
Of course, it's kind of nice to buy cool stuff and have a proper good kit, but then you need to use that.
Right.
And not to buy the stuff that sake of buying, but really use it. And that's why we developed the circular economy model, that if you buy something from us and you, for example, want different color, you can return it to us. Like the jeans, we refund it. We sell that as a surplus, and you get the refund on your customer account to buy something new, to get the stuff circulating. That is available in Finland, because we haven't figured out the logistics for global scale, but we're working on it.
Okay. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's very, very neat to hear from a big company. Let's see. Barton says, we're changing subjects completely again. Is there a place in the modern battlefield for a traditional pistol caliber submachine gun? Would Finnish reservists balk at being issued?
What's balk?
Would they like it? Would they get it and be like, what is this crap?
Yeah. I think it's really mission specifics. I think if we talk about the basic infantry stuff, fighting near peer enemy, I think 9mm starts to be a bit obsolete.
Armor is an issue.
Yeah.
Armor is definitely a concern.
Yeah. But I still see a lot of applications for 9mm submachine gun in a certain mission spectrum.
Okay. Anything in particular?
Well, of course, all the kind of, if you need to do really quiet work, suppressed ones, you are probably, if you are kind of operating in the environments where the penetration is problem, like in the structures where there are still civilians or something, I think those starts to be the tools what more kind of specialized units figure out that, okay, we could use this. But like on a large scale, as we had the Suomi in the Second World War time period, I don't see it feasible, because there are so many better platforms.
I think one of the things people often don't consider is that 5.56 ammunition is substantially lighter than 9mm.
Yeah,
ammunition.
it is.
Like there's this, I think, assumption for some people that a submachine gun, it's a small caliber, so it's lighter ammo, you can carry more of it, and it's automatic. But in reality, a 5.56 carbine does all of that better than a submachine gun. But you're right, it is louder. It's going to be, a carbine's going to be supersonic.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to suppress really well.
Yeah. And also the penetration, if you kind of want to kind of somehow contain.
Especially military stuff, where you're often going to be running like NATO spec SS-109 that's steel cord.
Yeah.
Let's see. Corbin says, many historic Finnish firearms have ended up in the U.S. Is there a sentiment among Finnish collectors wishing that they would have stayed in Finland? The U.S. market, collector's market, is often a dumping ground for surplus and obsolete arms, and I'm curious how people from other countries feel about their guns coming to the U.S. I know you're not really a collector yourself, but
Yeah.
perhaps you can shed some light on that.
I actually kind of asked from a few guys about the topic, and it's twofolded. Of course, if something really cool leaves the country and we don't have any in our collections, or it's super rare, it feels a bit stupid. But on the other hand, because Finland is such a small market for firearms and collecting and everything, because it's not our constitutional right, it's a privilege, people are happy that they get the new home and kind of continue to live on. And usually if people are kind of collecting arms, they are also interested about the origin, so it spreads the word that, you know, there is a place called Finland.
That is true.
Yeah, so it's twofolded.
For those folks who aren't familiar, Interarms bought out a ton of surplus firearms from the Finnish arsenals in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. A lot of that stuff, and a lot of interesting variation. Like my French Shosha is a Finnish army marked Shosha that spent time in Finland as military aid before eventually coming to the U.S. So I'm glad you guys don't hold that against us.
No.
You were probably happy to get rid of the Shoshas.
Yeah.
Mark asks, how did Varusteleka get started? We kind of already answered that one. And that puts us on to page number 2. From Timo, do you have any news about Finnish Brutality 2022? We just finished 2021. Yeah. Everyone's already excited for the next year and how you're going to top the trench stage.
Yeah, we have a news kind of that now we have kind of fixed the dates, which I don't tell now, but later on. Okay. And now that the project team is resting and we start planning that around the beginning of the year, but it will be there. It will be brutal in a different way. So
we've gone back and forth on winter versus summer Finnish brutalities. Can you tell us what season this is going to be?
Yeah, it's kind of the late summer, early autumn, so it's summerish.
Okay, so it's going to be mosquito brutality.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's stock up on mosquito nets. Trapper Jeff says, in your time selling surplus from all over, what's the most difficult country or geographical region to get surplus from?
I think it's due to the kind of the logistics and partially also the politics. Everything from Asia is you can't get Chinese real issued stuff really easily.
I can understand China and Russia perhaps being difficult.
Yeah.
What about some of the smaller countries like Korea, Malaysia, Singapore?
Not that much coming on our radar, and because I think it's they don't interact that much with the Europe, and kind of that's probably also a bit uncharted territory that we haven't sent Henry with kind of a briefcase of money to go to Korea. But anyway, and of course the African countries, we get some stuff from South Africa, and in some of the African countries, it's really weird stuff. So
I can imagine all sorts of cool, strange things ended up in Africa. So I think it's pretty much dependent on where you have the supply routes. Okay. You can get everything, but we have focused on more on the areas what we know and understand. It's a good guideline for the business. Okay. But every now and then you get something like, whoa, where did this come from? Polish hazmat suits?
Yeah, that was so pretty cool.
I'm tempted to buy one. I'm not going to buy one, but part of me is you should totally buy one.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Here's a very direct, specific question from Nate. What would you use to repair frayed cuffs and elbows on a merino wool hoodie, or he says sweatshirt?
Yeah. you could use the I don't know the English term, like the cloth bandage, like what you glue and then iron
Patch.
Yeah, that would work. And if it's frayed from the cuffs or something, you could put the kind of strip of fabric and merino wool fabric, for example, and then sew it on it.
So you'd have to stitch it on.
Yeah.
You're not going to use a glue or something.
No.
Okay.
So those are like probably the good ones. And I have holes in my elbows in merino wool hoodies because I've worn them off. So I just sew the patch there, and it's good to go. Okay. Looks a bit funny, but
built character.
Yeah.
David wants to know if you have tried a What Would Stoner Do and what you think of it.
It's awesome.
He was just using one today.
Yeah.
In Desert Brutality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe you actually have the first one in Finland.
Yes, I do.
What do you think?
It's awesome. And
I'll give you your kickback later.
No, honestly, it's awesome rifle. Probably will show in another videos, but I actually have the short barrel version, as you do. So when we went to the match today, one of the stages, which was carbine heavy, I was felt like at home. I was just floating through the targets. So I think the concept is really interesting, and it's so cool to see how it evolved from the kind of project to actual product. And I shot with the version, the first version in Desert Brutality 2019.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, when I broke the
right, you broke Carl's flashlight.
Yeah. So yeah, I have shot it. I own one, and it's freaking good.
Awesome.
Concept.
I appreciate it. Dayton says, from a Finnish perspective, why is Finland still standardized on 7.62 by 39? Don't you that's old-fashioned? Don't you know that?
Yeah, probably all the press knows it, and everybody who is making decisions knows that. But it comes back to the logistics.
Okay.
Because it's different to buy the firearm for yourself than arm the massive army and having the replace all the ammunition, spare parts, training the people, like the gunsmiths, armorers, everything. Like, it's not the gun, it's the machinery, whole 9 yards.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Finland has a relatively small standing military.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the universal conscription is that if you need it, you can activate hundreds of thousands of reserve troops, and they need guns.
Yes.
So it's a matter
of ammo and everything.
Right. It's it's not like, oh, we've got 30,000 active troops. I don't know what the actual number is, but
not that many.
It's okay. So even fewer. It'd be super cheap you could rearm them all with 300 blackout.
Yeah.
6mm arc or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the 300,000 reservists, it's a lot more expensive to put that many guns in storage for that.
Yeah, so it's a logistic things, and of course every year you get the conscripts going through their training. They need the guns, they shoot the guns, they break the guns, like all that stuff. So now they modernized the RK62s with modifications, so they changed the furniture and refurbished them to prolong the life cycle. So it's not about that we would be sticking on that specific cartridge. It just happened to be that we have tons of that type of weapons and tons of ammunition for that, and know how to maintain. So,
okay. Do you think it's a suitable, appropriate cartridge? Like, if you could start just from scratch right now and just magically assign a new cartridge, would you change it?
I probably would take something more modern.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the 7.62 39. It can do the trick, but the ballistics are a bit awkward, kind of. It's kind of arcing, and I think there are much more better options around. And thinking about the cost benefit, that weight, how many cartridges you can carry, I think there are much better options. Like, so I wouldn't choose that as okay, let's stick with this.
Okay. I've heard some people talk about like, oh, in Finland, it's all forests and you'll never have more than 150 yards. And so 7.62 is an optimum cartridge. You make a very good point about the weight.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how far you're shooting, that stuff weighs 2 or actually like 3 times as much as 5.56.
Yeah. So there are some merit that if you have really like 5.56, like really kind of light bullet, it can deflect from kind of branches and everything. But so does the kind of heavier ones. So
I've done some shooting with 308 through brush, and it deflects a surprising amount too.
Yeah. So, but I think it's there are probably really good options for the next evolution of our service weapon, and I'm really keen to see what happens in the future.
Okay. Let's see. Ryan asks, do you have any one particular thing that you find you must do whenever you visit the U.S.? Eating a specific food, visiting a particular place, or buying something that you otherwise can't find in Finland?
I think it's, of course, seeing you guys and shooting a match and going shooting, that's kind of...
Desert Brutality is the thing you must do when you come to the US.
Yeah, more or less. But I have some kind of funny habits. It's kind of situated or situational thing that if I go to New York, I need to run around the Central Park. Okay. It started when I was traveling in New York in previous companies, and I used to stay in one particular hotel, which is next to the Central Park. And you want to have your exercise when you are traveling. And so I started to running, and I didn't know how the routes go, so I ended up running all the way to Harlem. And but it's pretty cool. So I have continued every time I'm in New York in that hotel. I go and run around. So that's cool. The Mexican food is usually much better here than it's in Finland.
I've come this close to trying Mexican restaurants in Helsinki, and I never quite had the nerve to do it because I know it's not good.
There are very good ones, but the problem is that, for example, avocados are kind of imported. No. They are imported. They are picked when they are raw. Then they are matured on the way, so the taste is not the same. Yeah. So I try to eat as much tacos as I can.
Awesome. And frankly, as soon as we finish this Q&A, we're gonna go get some good ones.
Yeah.
So I should have seen that answer coming. Teifu says, "What is the strangest piece of milsurp you have been offered for sale?"
Oh gosh, there is lots of weird stuff. And we quite often also buy the weird stuff, what is offered.
One of the great things about the company is the promotion, the description that you do of some of the stranger services. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. That's how I originally found the company.
Yeah. So a few of top of my mind is that there were these, I think they were old Russian kind of water reservoirs, like huge, kind of almost like a swimming pool type of rubber thingies, what you used as a water reservoirs. That's pretty weird. Yeah. All the Russian kind of medical stuff is like, what is going on here type of stuff. Enema kit, those we actually sold.
Which?
Enema,
Oh, yeah.
And we sold those a lot. Then, well, the hazmat suits were pretty cool. But then the Swiss field kind of altar, like
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
like a chaplain's altar.
Chaplain's kind of, and it was folding, and
Of course, it was
yeah,
Swiss.
yeah. But it was like the craftsmanship was like insane,
Huh.
and yeah, that type of things
That's pretty
come to my mind. But it's endless list.
So I'm going to follow this up with a question from Doug, who says, with a worldwide surplus store, like basically what he wants to know is, how does it work? Do you buy blind lots? Do you have contacts? Do you have like Vlad the Ukrainian, Pierre the Frenchman, Moshe the Israeli who are bringing you stuff, not just like junk? Or do you have employees who go out and look at surplus auctions and government sales? How do you find the various stock?
All the above.
Okay.
Like we have there are in this industry there are some of the kind of the wholesalers whose business is to liquidate stuff from the government auctions. So they buy stuff and then they kind of sell it forward. So we work with them. We do some our own participations in auctions. We have the contacts who are kind of know what is where and what is available. We have the dedicated person who is kind of constantly going through what's going on and what we can get. So yeah, it comes from various sources. One thing what we try to do is to be really sure about the origin of the goods, that it needs to be kind of taken off the books in a kind of real way, that it's not hijacked container somewhere. And if the deal is like too good to be true, usually it's kind of, if the seller cannot provide the document trail that where does the stuff come from, then we are like, not necessary for us.
Okay. That's very responsible.
Yeah.
Let's see. Steve asks, were the puukkos, which is the traditional Finnish belt knife, were the puukkos carried by troops in the Winter War and Continuation War during World War II? Were they an issued item or were they private purchase from local smiths? Do you know of any reference book that talks about wartime puukkos?
Puukko is a tool for Finnish outdoor men or soldier. So my guess, this is not the fact, but my guess is that every man brought their own puukko because they had it already.
Okay.
Because it's a lifeline if you, especially at that time, if you were like farmer or working in woods or whatever, everybody had the puukko. So when you go to war, you take your puukko.
Okay. I have not seen any reference to them being issued myself.
Yeah. There might be some, usually they were bayonets, but there might be kind of, I don't know, made a small batch with the SA marking, but I haven't seen either. Okay. But that's kind of the origin that, and it's still today that when you go to army, you take your own puukko.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you know of any books on the subject?
Not really. I think that if you kind of go and look the history of Finnish puukkos, it evidently will come up the war era as well. But okay. I'm not that of the knife guy.
Okay, understandable. Let's see. Peter asks, is surplus from countries or maybe eras usually consistent? Do some countries consistently produce really good stuff or really bad stuff? Like,
yeah, there is a consistency. Okay. Like all Eastern Bloc stuff. If we talk about older surplus, is constantly really hideous. Then the British are weird. They are going up and down. They have some horrifying stuff, but then every now and then they pick up and do something good, and then going back and forth. The Swiss are like really kind of consistent.
Okay.
They have a really good stuff, like whether it's older, modern, everything. Like and the craftsmanship is unbelievable in clothing, and so Swiss are like doing good stuff no matter the era, and but there is a lot of fluctuation because you have to bear in mind that there are always government contracts, and it depends on how the contracting is made. That first of all, how the actual item is defined, what kind of capability it should deliver, and then what's the criteria to win the contract. Is it the price, or is there something else? Usually it's price, and that kind of, you might have the country who's having the good stuff, but they kind of screw up certain item because they go for a lowest bidder. So that also influenced the surplus stuff quite much.
We are going to get through all of these questions because we're almost done here. Here's an interesting one. Just Swimmingly asks, how are modern day relations between Finns and Russians, considering the history of conflict and animus over the past 100 years?
First of all, like me or the kind of the company I represent, we don't have any hard feelings about the Russian people, like the individuals.
Okay.
And
it's kind of a two-part question. It's like, how is the relations between the governments?
Yeah.
How are the relations between the people? Because they're separate things.
Yeah. And I think most of the Finns are like, if you are interacting with people to people, are like, oh, cool, like you're Russian, I'm Finn, we play hockey, can have a kind of drinks together, no problem with that.
You are neighbors.
Yeah, but when looking the geopolitical situation, and kind of it's the fact that Russia is a threat to Finland. They tried once cross the border, and there are like nasty things going on in Ukraine, and the takeover of the Crimea. Of course, that influences that. There is a
Gotta
huge
make people nervous.
Yeah, there's a huge nation next to us. We're a small country, so of course it makes us nervous.
Okay. Switching gears here a bit, Andreas says, with all the ecological and such stuff, is there a single piece of clothing you sell that has absolutely no plastic in it? No buttons, seams, elastic, zippers? Is that a thing?
We have, I think blanket shirt is the closest where you can get totally like plastic free, and that's probably not 100% because the sewing thread might have some synthetics, but it's 100% wool. It has the wooden kind of all the accessories, so that's one product where we don't.
The whole Yama line is kind of like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but kind of in that question, that do you have anything which is totally without plastics? And nowadays it's damn hard to do anything without plastics. But most of the Yama products, if they are made out of wool, they usually use kind of a wood or leather or something as a kind of accessories. So those ones are probably what I would look for. But it's interesting question because how we could use some other materials which are not plastic based, because if, for example, in some of the fabrics, like the fleece fabric, you also get the kind of the microplastics out of it, and that's bad for the wildlife, like sea life overall, because that's where it ends.
Okay. We have two more. One is from M, and it is a question actually for both of us. They would like to know, what do you enjoy most about your experience in each other's countries? What do you like about the U.S. and what do I like about Finland?
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I can go. Okay. Kind of. Well, every time I visit here, it's cool to kind of test out all kinds of guns because they are much more readily available than what we have at home. That's always really cool. Then the landscape.
Okay.
Like, we are heavily woodland and lakes and all that stuff.
And you're in the polar opposite of that right now.
Yeah,
We're in
and
high
now
desert Utah.
yeah, I've been during the match. I was just staring around like, whoa, there are mountains. There are no trees. Like, it's exotic.
It's alien a bit even to me, and I live in Arizona, which is not that much different.
Yeah. So that the landscapes and kind of, as they talk in the Pulp Fiction, they have the same shit, but it's little different.
So one of the big things I really enjoy about Finland is people are very straightforward. And I think some people might find that discomforting or insulting even, but there are other countries and cultures that have developed this whole like complicated process for like, we want to say no to your question, but we don't want to be rude. So we're going to come up with some elaborate cultural nonsense. And with the Finns, what I've found is you get a straightforward answer. Yes, no, yes, but this, no, but that. And it's just really nice to be able to ask a question and know that the answer you're getting isn't some cultural code for something. Yeah. It's just the answer. And if they don't speak to you, it's because there isn't anything really urgent to say at the moment. And I like that. So now I shared these questions with you beforehand, but I do have actually one surprise question from Jordan downstairs. Yeah. He noticed that Vladimir Putin allegedly is a judo black belt. Yeah. And we would like to know if you got in a fight, a judo match with Putin, who would win?
So it would be judo rules or
like because you were, if I remember correctly, Finnish national judo champion.
No, not the judo.
No,
I've been doing jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's you with practicing jiu-jitsu against Putin practicing judo. Who's going to win? Could you take him?
I could.
Is he completely full of crap and like not actually a black belt and just?
No, he's legit. He's legit. So I think I would.
You could take it.
I should. I would.
Good. You should be able to. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. If you're not familiar with Varusteleka, definitely check them out. They do a number of fantastic lines of their own in-house outdoors gear. I love it. I wear the stuff all the time. And that's why I've developed a 5+ year now relationship with the company. And they always have cool milsurp. The problem with surplus stuff is it's limited quantity. It comes, it gets sold, and it's gone. And so I found some really cool French stuff there, but there's no point in me trying to tell you about it because it's long gone, because I bought it and other people bought it and it's gone. But if you keep an eye on their website, you will find fun, sometimes practical stuff, sometimes fun stuff, sometimes just hilariously terrible stuff show up. So I have a link to their website down in the description. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.